I think it's important to really have a clear understanding of everything, from going to the courts and learning the court research and picking up the phone and making calls and participating in marketing and operations and whatever you really can, to really have a clear understanding of what the industry entails.
Right. Welcome to Behind the Screens, conversations with background screening pros. I'm Les Rosen, your host, and I'm excited to have you here. On this podcast, we chat with the people who know the background screening world inside and out. Executives, industry experts, legal pros, and more. We dive into their personal stories and insights to give you a real look at what's happening behind the scenes. Whether you work in the screening industry or are just curious, Behind the Screens bring you the real, unfiltered conversations from the people who make it all happen. Stick around for stories you won't hear anywhere else. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Behind the Screens, a podcast that brings you up close and personal with people in the background screening industry. And in these podcasts, we drive into the personal stories and insights of those who know the screening industry best, offering fresh perspectives and on what's driving the industry and from people who drive the industry. And to get today's guest, very pleased to say is a gentleman with a long history in the screening industry who has worked in every aspect of the screening industry while creating a highly successful and highly respected background screening firm. It's a pleasure to introduce today Mr. Marc Linchuck of Global Investigative Screening Services, GIS, who knows the screening industry inside and out, and I'm excited to get his perspective. And Marc, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Les. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. I've been enjoying listening to your podcast, and you've been doing an amazing interviews with some great people in our industry.
Well, I'm glad you appreciate it. And I have to say that when I was sort of planning out this project, this sort of a hobby project or something fun to do with Barry Nixon, Barry says, I don't care who else you have, but the one guy you really need to have on the show and that people really need to hear from is Marc Linchuck. And I said, Barry, done. And here we are. Marc, you're on the show. Happy to have you as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll correct you really quick, Les. It's Linchuck.
Oh, gee, I mispronounced the name. Well, there goes my.
It's okay.
There goes my invite to be a guest host on the Tonight Show. I guess. I guess one of the prerequisites is to pronounce people's names right.
Yeah, not a problem. It's okay.
All right. Well, Marc, we're just going to go by Marc then. Okay. All right. So I don't get it wrong again. All right. Oh. All right, Marc. So let's start. Let's start. From the beginning with the basics.
Sure.
Tell us what you currently do and what you like about it. What's interesting about it?
Yeah. So I'm the owner and CEO of Global Investigative Services. It's an accredited background screening company or consumer reporting agency, and we're based out of Maryland. I'm responsible for the company's overall vision and strategy. And basically, I'm the one who's making all the final decisions. Been in the industry for 27 years and absolutely love everything about it. Enjoy the challenges that come with growing a business and the ever-changing things that are occurring in the industry. So, basically learning whatever I can and helping others to do the same.
Well, Marc, and 27 years. So tell us about your career path. What was your journey to get to where you are today? As much as you would like to reveal.
No, that's good. So before entering the background screening industry, I worked in several other fields. Starting from college, I came out of college, I started a trade show company then I went into the insurance industry and then the mortgage industry. And in 1998, I left the mortgage industry. I was looking for something new to do. I was introduced to a woman who owned a background screening company, which was Global Investigative Services. She was looking for a business partner to help her grow the business that She actually acquired 2 years prior. The company was founded in 1993. And I had no idea what background checks entailed, but I dove right in. And in 2021, I actually acquired the business from her. So, we were business partners for up till 2021. And then she decided she wanted to retire. So I decided to stay on and continue to grow the business.
Oh, congratulations! You actually
Thank you.
started then, if I can do math, which I can. 90. What year?
1998.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So I was my introduction was right. You have done it all, seen it all. You know, you're chief cook and bottle washer to CEO and everything in between.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, when I came in, I wanted to learn everything and did that, from court research all the way through to operations.
Yeah. There aren't that many people anymore who have really have that type of background of knowing the industry from the bottom up. I mean, there's people who come into the industry, they may come in, with technology or marketing,
Yeah.
but your perspective, you've done it all: compliance and production and sales and
Yes.
just every aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's important to really have a clear understanding of everything. From going to the courts and learning the court research and picking up the phone and making calls and participating in marketing and operations and whatever you really can, to really have a clear understanding of what the industry entails.
Right. And then we're talking with clients and closing sales deals and just everything
Yeah,
in between. Yeah.
sure,
Oh,
definitely.
oh, that's fantastic. And on this journey, or I would call it this voyage of discovery, as you really learned the background industry and created this great brand. What was a lesson that you learned early on in your career that sort of stuck with you? I mean, I think we learned all of lessons. I
Yeah.
was joking with you before we went on that. Boy, I've made every mistake in the book, and some mistakes I like so much I made two or three times. But what was a lesson that you learned early on that kind of percolates to the top of your head as being something that you still think about?
I guess, two lessons, I guess, that would stick out.
Okay.
Early on, probably 1999, 2000, we decided to build our own background screening platform. And that was probably not such a smart move early on. The cost of keeping up with advancements in technology, that really hurt us financially, kind of set us back. And then, looking back, we probably should have taken that platform and started selling it to other background screening companies if we knew where everything was going. But we didn't. We kind of just stopped using it and went to one of the other third-party platforms, which was, for us, that was a great move with technology, the advancements and stuff. It was just really hard to keep up. And then I think the second lesson was probably we had a really large company that made up a good percentage of our revenue. The problem was that they got acquired. And when they got acquired, the company that acquired them basically went with the current background screening company they had. And again, that was another setback. So the lesson there was, don't have your eggs all in one basket.
Yeah.
I think those two just were early lessons of things, not to do. And it was good. I mean, we definitely learned a lot from that. And of course, there were probably other lessons along the way, along this journey.
Yeah.
And we continue to learn things. So
Yeah, I mean, and both of those, it's sort of one of the things. It is what it is because you faced the same decision that lots of firms did. Some firms went with third-party platforms, and they would complain that the third-party platform maybe couldn't do everything they wanted to do, and then we should build our own. And then people build their own, and they say, well, it's hard to keep up. So it's hard to tell whether there's a right or wrong answer, until you do it, right? I mean, right?
yes,
You make your best calculation, and you go for it and see what happens.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
absolutely.
That's great. I mean, that's very interesting. And having you said too many eggs in one basket, common problem. A lot of firms, you face it. You try to diversify, but
Yeah,
life sometimes has its own course for you, and you can't always have the ideal distribution.
it's
So
true. I mean, you definitely, like even during COVID. luckily we did have a good diversification of different industries. And, one being like healthcare, for instance, they constantly hired, which was a good thing. It kept us busy, kept us through COVID. But, we still had other clients in other
Yeah.
industries, and, they came back eventually. So,
So you really are a veteran. You've been through all the wars, right?
yes.
And all the
Yeah.
battles. Wow.
Yeah.
So what about so you started in the screen industry, you said 1998, you've been in it all this time, but you've been in other industries, you have other options and opportunities, other ways you could have gone.
Yeah.
I always enjoy asking people, what is it about the screening industry? Why would you stay in this particular industry? What was it that attracted you to, like, not only get into it, but stay with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Once I got in and I understood the industry, I really I enjoy helping companies, like specifically our clients, having them understand more and more about our industry, making sure they know what a background check is and what it's not. Getting involved, for instance, like with PBSA, there's just a lot of great people, great companies in our industry, and meeting those individuals and sharing ideas and giving advice and getting advice from others. And it's just you know, constantly changing. It's not, from the old days when we were faxing things and then you have technology, it just evolves so much. And, there definitely were times throughout my career in this industry that I kept thinking, maybe I'll leave. Maybe this isn't right. But things continue to change. Things got exciting and, just kept continue to stick with it and things have worked out. I think it's important for anyone in the industry to learn as much as they can about it and make sure they do it the right way, and they'll, I guess, enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed it through my career.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, we do play a game called Changes and Challenges. I think you've already talked about the changes, which is the
Yeah.
technology and how that's just taken off
Yes.
night
Yeah.
and day. Yeah.
Technology and even the different laws, but with technology, when we had our background screening platform that we designed and then found out, there's so many things that you have to do to keep up with it. I think back to like e-signature. We didn't have e-signature. That was just kind of coming out, and we were trying to figure out how to implement that into the process, or integrations, with all the various vendors out there, and integrating with them, or even the interfaces. And then you've got API and you've got the ATS platforms. And now it's, biometric authentication and AI, and
Right.
blockchain and whatever else is out there, whether they're good for the industry or bad. I think we'll all figure that out eventually.
Yeah.
But it's, it's about understanding those newer technologies and using it wisely, making
Right.
sure that it is right for us and, for the company and the industry. I think it's all going to be good. It's definitely going to help us all improve on what we're doing.
So I take it you see that as the not only the biggest change, but one of the biggest challenges, just trying to figure out what to do with all this technology, what's legal with it, how do you
Yeah,
work it in, what how does the client see the value, what's the value of a CRA with all of
absolutely.
this, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and, it's also, yeah, the security, the improvements, definitely.
I was once asked by someone looking to get in the industry, well, how many people do I need on the IT team? And my answer was about 10 more than you already have. It doesn't matter how many you
Yeah,
have. You need 10 more. All right.
right. No, absolutely.
It just it doesn't stop. All right.
Sure.
Well, Mark, you've certainly been through the ringer and creating the company and going through all these experiences. But in looking back, and I know you're still not done with your career. You have places to go, people to see, sunsets to ride into, or whatever.
Yeah.
But what would be a moment that you would look back at and say, Well, that was a cool accomplishment. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them, but what kind of percolates first to the top of mind as something, a moment you're proud of, or an accomplishment, or some achievement in the screen industry for
Yeah,
you or your firm?
I think just after being in the industry for 27 years, acquiring the business in 2021, I would just say, my proud moment is really the past 4 years really sticks out. Just what we have accomplished over that time period, the past four. I think we just have it. We've gotten to the point where we're heading down the right path. That's what makes me proud. We finally have gotten to the point where we know exactly what we need to do, to kind of move forward and make things good.
I kind of call that the well-oiled machine stage, where
Yes.
where
Yeah.
where everything is working and it's scalable within a certain degree, but it's just add more secret sauce and whatever that is for you or for a company.
Sure.
But everything's all the cylinders, you're clicking in all eight cylinders, right? That
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's a great feeling when you kind of get there, and it's not easy to get there too, because all the
Yeah.
because it's just this industry with so many moving parts. I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
so interesting.
And it's also about bringing on the right people.
Yeah,
You can't think that you know it all. You got to bring on people that understand the industry, and once you have them on board, that path to success will come. I can definitely say we've got the right people in place now and moving in the right direction.
well, that's interesting. I mean, maybe that's the definition of the well-oiled machine is the right team. You have a team working in concert, and there's
Sure.
congruity, and they work together, and there's accountability and communication and competency, and you have all that happening. Then you're really hitting on all cylinders.
Absolutely.
Uh, no, that's great. Well, let me ask you. You mentioned PBSA. I know that your firm is accredited. Tell us a little bit about the role that PBSA has played in your success, and a little bit about the accreditation experience.
Sure. I mean, PBSA has been a great resource of information. I've participated in, some of the committees. I've done the mid-year and hit the hill once. I was glad I did that. I had an incredible experience. I don't think it's really for me, but I definitely would recommend to anyone and everyone that participates in the mid-year to do it at least once to get that
Yeah.
experience. And looking back, I remember before PBSA, before NAPBS, and there was I believe it was called the Pre-Employment Screening Conference, if I'm not mistaken, that Steve Brownstein
Yeah,
had
but
put
Steve
together.
Brownstein, Phil
Yeah, and
Snedell.
and I think that was what, St. Petersburg or Sarasota, somewhere in Florida.
Yeah,
And I remember getting the notification about it and wanting to go, and wasn't really sure what it entailed, and just didn't get involved. So and then NAPBS, I didn't go. My business partner, I think, had gone to an early meeting, but I think I regret definitely not getting involved early on. But going to the conferences has just been an incredible experience, meeting other CRAs and stuff, and listening to the attorneys speak, which is always great, and a little scary at times. Um, but you know, the accreditation part, when that first came out, it took us a while to really kind of determine whether if this was right or not. But we were seeing other CRAs doing it, and felt that it was the right thing to do, which it absolutely is. It definitely took a long time to get, I guess, familiar with what they really needed, what they wanted. And, there's outside consultants that you can go to that will assist you. And we chose one of them, and that was extremely helpful. And, going through that process as a smaller company, it really helped us form our policies and procedures and our handbooks and everything. And, everything that we had in place, we just had to change, and now it's better. And as we go through our 3-year and 5-year audits. That even, again, helps us improve with what we're doing. So, yeah, that's been a really good process for us. And again, I think anybody that is not accredited, any background screening company, you should definitely consider it. It's definitely a good stepping stone into the right direction.
So, what's been the biggest benefit for you? I mean, other than, obviously, I think clients are now, employers are now accustomed to looking at that. But other than that, in terms of just having that well-oiled machine, did that help with the accreditation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because there's even times when some clients that we're speaking with, the first thing is, are you an accredited firm? We can say, yes, we are. There's even, RFPs that are out there that they only want companies that are accredited. And, to be able to put that out on our website and in our email signatures and, companies that are coming and reading about us and they see that. And, a link that explains what it is
Right.
and, breaks it down. It's definitely beneficial. It's been helpful.
Yeah, let me share this with you. My observation with accreditation is that it's not difficult in the sense that there's very little that firms don't know about or don't, for the most part, do. But the process of thinking it through step by step by step and documenting it, knowing who's in charge, and
Yes. Yes.
the sort of the self improvement aspect is a lot of people tell me was valuable for them. Did you find that to be true
Yeah.
for you?
No, absolutely. Because even going through that process where there might be things you didn't have in place, you figured that out, and yeah, you assign those individuals that you felt comfortable with their knowledge, and appointed them, wrote them in the whole part of the accreditation, and in your policies, procedures, who's in charge of what. So yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
A lot of changes we made during that whole process.
Yeah. With PSA, PBSA, right
PBSA,
now,
yeah.
I have to you keep remembering the right pronunciation now. So it brought a smile to my face when you said you go to the sessions and some of them are a little scary. I tell you, you walk out of some of those sessions, not even just the attorney sessions, but the practitioner sessions. You go, oh my God, are we doing that? Are we exposed
Yes.
to that? I mean,
Yeah.
are we calling back to the office? I just was reminded we're supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. Are we doing that? Please, I hope we are.
And
Right.
there's so much to cover in those sessions too. It's not like you can get to every single one.
Yeah.
And if you have the ability to bring others with you, it's definitely something you should do, because you send one person one way, you go the other way, and then
Right.
after the conference you sit down, or even during the conference at some point you sit down and you talk about what it was, and then you go back to the office and you have great meetings. You talk about everything you've learned and things that you need to improve, and
Right.
so yeah, it's been great.
Yeah, particularly when you hear an attorney panel, the attorney says, "Well, this firm was sued for this, and that person was sued for that." And you're thinking, well, I don't think we do that,
Yes.
or I think we're covered. But then you go back and you make sure, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there's plenty of times I've done that.
Yeah,
And another thing with PBSA, and I was just thinking about this because I probably should have mentioned it earlier too. But with PBSA, they have great resource tools. You go into their website, when you're a member, and you are able to pull up things, put in certain topics, subjects, and you get the information there. So if it was something at a session that you just weren't able to get to, and you have the ability to go and
right. Yeah.
read through that, which, Les, I'll tell you, there was an incredible informative book called The Safe Hiring Manual. I think you're familiar with that. That was that was the only resource, back in the day,
Yeah.
that that was my go-to thing. And now, and I still kind of use it every now and then, but now it's, the PBSA. It's just more
Right.
resource
Yeah.
information. But
Yeah.
yeah, I thank you for writing that and updating it over the years, because it was definitely something. If a client called and had a question, or we had questions in house, that was where we turned.
Oh, I
Your
appreciate that.
manual. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I've been contemplating, God, do I want to do a rewrite or would I rather retire? So far, so far,
I think you
retirement's
should.
winning out.
Yeah. Update it. Yeah. There's probably a lot to update. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of
Yeah,
changes.
yeah. There's about 90% of it's good. The other 10% is wildly, wackily out of,
Yes.
makes no sense anymore. And then there's
Right.
just stuff to add. So far, I haven't found the energy to crack it open and think, do I want to rewrite this? I don't know. All
Right.
right. So, what committees were you on? I think you mentioned it. On PBSA, you
Yeah.
served time on a committee or two.
I'm trying to think back because I haven't really been that active, but I think I still get emails like for the Government Relations Committee.
Yeah. Right.
There was a subcommittee that I was active with. I'm trying to think what it was tied to, but it was the Gives subcommittee. It had to do with government, like, data sets type stuff that we were getting, but that didn't last very long. So yeah, again, I haven't been really
Right.
active in
Yeah.
those committees, and I got to make it a point to become more active. But
Yeah.
I've sat on some of those calls for the government relations.
Well, that's the hardest one because that one,
Yes.
there's a bill in Nebraska or a bill in
Yes.
Mississippi, and it's like your eyes just go around your head with the amount of work there is possibly to do. It's like,
Right.
how
And
do I
and
keep up?
yeah, and I put my name, I think, on the list for if anything comes up in Maryland that
Yeah,
I'll volunteer to do whatever I need to do to help out in that sense.
that's great. What part of Maryland do you?
It's Gaithersburg, Rockville area or North Potomac. It's
Okay,
technically it's Montgomery County.
okay.
That- yeah,
So you're
which is about
closer.
20 minutes outside of Washington D.C.
So my only point of reference is: are you closer to an Orioles game or a Nationals game?
Yeah, maybe right in between. I mean, Baltimore is probably about a 45 minute drive, and Nationals are maybe about 30-minute drive.
Okay, so you are. All
So,
right.
but I think I lean maybe towards the Nationals, but I think growing up, I had family in Baltimore. So it was kind of like growing up Baltimore fan, but Nationals, probably now. It's kind of like are you a Commanders fan or are you a Ravens fan?
Right.
We can go either way, really.
All right. Oh, that's funny. All right, so let's leave the wild, wonderful, wacky world of background screening behind for a little bit, and let's talk more about Mark. So when you're not building a world class team and doing all the things you've described and so on and so forth, what do you do outside of screening and sort of hobbies and interest and
Yeah,
fun stuff?
sure. Well, I'd say first, just spending time with family.
Yeah.
And then with family traveling, and then comes riding my Peloton and mountain biking, and once a year going out west and snow skiing.
And doing what? Snowshoeing?
Go skiing.
Oh, okay, right,
skiing
okay,
during
yeah.
skiing during the winter. I said snow skiing. Yeah, so skiing during the winter.
Wait,
But
it's hard to ride your Peloton up the mountain. Oh, I see. That's two different
No,
things. Okay, I
Pel-
got it.
Peloton is for my training to be able to go mountain biking. But so it's an indoor activity, and then when the weather's nice, I'm able to get on my mountain bike and go out with. I have a group of 5 guys that we go mountain biking. Maryland doesn't have huge mountains or anything, but they have incredible. In my county, they have incredible trails, and there's probably about 5 or 6 trails that we tend to go to, and we can probably ride 20 plus miles on those trails that interconnect, and it's just great to be outside in the woods on in the wilderness, so to speak.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I never took up mountain biking. I'm about 20 minutes from Mount Tam, where they invented mountain biking, and I once went to a party with Gary Fisher from Fisher Bikes and all that. But I
Okay.
never.
Yeah.
Problem with mountain biking is it's hard to go uphill. When you go downhill, if you
Yes.
hit a root or a rock, you can do an endo, go end over end, and it's like
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. All
Yeah.
right.
It's fun. We actually took a trip a couple years ago out to Moab, Utah.
Oh, Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was just, it's just incredible out there. And that's a different level of mountain biking.
Uh,
But it was just beautiful scenery, in that part of the United States. Ideally, we'd love to have a trip each year to a different place. And
so do you fly into St. George and then, or fly into Las Vegas and drive there, or
no,
Salt Lake?
there's, I think Moab. No, I think where did we go? Gosh, I don't remember what we did. We did we fly to Vegas, or did we fly maybe to Colorado and then took
Oh, yeah. Okay.
we flew into Moab to a little airport.
Okay.
And then yeah, and then we rent bikes once we're out there. We don't bring our bikes. We just rent out there. And then we met up with two guys that had been there before. They were from California, and they took us on the tour and showed us all the different places to go. So
I haven't been to Moab. My hiking boot is a Merrill Moab, which I always thought was named after Moab, and it turns out it stands for the mother of all boots. Right? Oh, who knows?
yeah,
You learn something new every day.
yeah,
Right?
um,
That's why people watch this program, because you learn ridiculously useless trivia like that. Right?
right, right.
So we're gonna play a game we play every time called Fun Facts. So Mark, share something about you that people may not know, or or
Yeah,
that you don't mind that they know, right?
right, right.
Apart from
So
screening.
yeah, fun facts. Been married for 23 years to my
Oh,
beautiful wife. Have two wonderful kids.
oh,
The oldest one, who's a girl, she's 22. She just graduated from the University of Tampa, and you'll like this. So for the past 3 years, she's been because she's in Tampa, where spring training is for the Yankees. She has been working for the Yankees when they're in town for spring training. So now that she's graduated, she's trying to work on a way to get in full time with whether it's the Yankees or anything else. She graduated sports management, so she's trying to get into that. And then I have a son who is 20. He's a sophomore at the College of Charleston in South Carolina. He's computer science, and I'm hoping he'll come up with something revolutionary to change the industry, the
right.
background screening industry.
or
But
or at least revolutionary enough for you to retire.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So that's my fun facts. That's my family, and then we have two dogs. One's a mini golden doodle and one's a cavapoo. So two
Okay.
great dogs.
So you're past the point where you had to do all the high school events and activities and sports
Yeah,
and
yes, thank God.
right.
we have we just we travel to Tampa and travel to South Carolina to go spend time with them, and it's a good place to get away to. Two great towns.
So you can loop it. You can go to Tampa or Charleston and then come back
Yeah,
so you're a veteran of I-95 then. Right.
right. That or we're a fan of Southwest, right?
One of the two. Right. Well, Mark, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and
Likewise. Yes.
yeah, I'm very glad that you accepted the invite to come on the show and say hello and share your experiences. I think we've covered a lot, but before we go, we have one last game called The Last Word, and we give you the last word, and the floor is yours. Or is there anything you want to add or subtract? It's all right.
Yeah.
Take it away.
No, Les, I mean, I've enjoyed speaking with you today, and I'm looking forward to continuing to listen to many more interviews that you're doing. I appreciate this, and thank you. Thanks again.
Mark,
And you know what? Anyone that wants to connect, feel free to reach out. Happy to connect with you.
and they can find you on LinkedIn easily.
Yes, yes, they
Yeah,
can.
that's
Yeah,
great. Well, this has been a great time with Marc Linchuck. I got your name right this
got it.
time, right? All right. I unfortunately I'm dyslexic with both eyes, but right, all right. But occasionally I do get a name right. And Mark, it's been a real pleasure having you. And once again, this has been an episode of Behind the Screens featuring our good friend Marc Linchuck, and on behalf of myself and our platinum sponsor, Barry Nixon's, and the Pre-Employment Screening Directory, Marc, has been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Les. Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, that was yet another wonderful conversation with a background screening pro. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss an update. And hey, if you got a moment, we'd love for you to leave us a review. It really helps get the word out. For more info or to catch up on past episodes, or to make suggestions or to suggest possible future guests, head over to our website. Once again, this is your host, Les Rosen, and it's been a pleasure to bring you another episode. See you on the next episode. Thanks.